literacies in the community of these women and in two adjoining villages near the city of Multan. And these methods were participant observation and unstructured interviews and focus groups. Towards the end of my research, I asked some women to write journal entries for me for my research. So the statistical, I did not take into account the statistical data, but rather looked at these, used these unstructured methods to show the meaning, to capture and show meanings of and functions of literacy in the life of these women in rural Pakistan. There were 6 focus groups and 45 interviews. So this is the area which is Multan has literacy rates of 43%. Overall average literacy rates are 43%, and female literacy rates are 32%. However, I collected these data were collected about a decade ago. It's not very recent. These rates are. I just checked those rates on today on One World South Asia. So these are most recent literacy rates. However, in the rural, in these rural communities, access to literacy, particularly secular literacy and Western education, particularly English literacy, is, as far as women are concerned, this is quite controlled and it's a contested notion. So very few women would have access to higher education, or if they have access to literacy, it is mainly to acquire basic literacy skills, not the kind of literacy which would be enable them to be able to reflect or to be able enable them to be able to think for themselves. So the kind of controlled, it's very much controlled, the access to secular literacy. So the emergent theme then, which I found in these data, was the women's struggle to find agency and voice through various literacies. And since I guess people are more interested in what I have to, this is some kind of, this is an analysis of what I found. Women, and I will reproduce excerpts from their speeches, focus groups and interviews and writing, diaries and magazines. That their engagements with literacy are far from meaningless or trivial. Through these literacies, engagements with literacy, they challenge and negotiate change in the traditional roles. These literacies are significant in that they reflect women's subjugated position within patriarchy and a desire to find a voice. Some of them would use these images of birds and caged birds for themselves as we will look at the data. So this is a broad, it's a table showing various uses of various literacies in the community and kind of reading and other activities, reading and writing. But as you can see, the older women did not have any writing skills at all. However, as the younger generation of women aged between 15 to 29, they have access to 3 or more literacies, and they engage in writing of diaries and short stories and poetry in there, some of which I'm going to share with you. And also in an interesting finding, which I had not anticipated, or when I entered the field was that women were engaging. They considered that when you ask them, they say we are illiterate, we do not know how to read and write, but most of them were engaged with literacy skills and activities. Reading of women's magazines and writing of journals and diaries was a very popular particularly among women, younger age women, and also some women who were in their 30s would reported that they had written diaries when they were unmarried, but due to the heavy responsibilities of domestic work, they were not able to write or continue this writing of diaries anymore. So these practices were related to their family and social roles also, and what was socially acceptable is not only by themselves but also by their caste, age, social and marital status, and also the time that women can allocate to these activities was limited, because some of the women would reported that they read the newspaper at bedtime. They do not get free time to read it during the day due to domestic activities. And then also the choice of papers and sections in the papers that related to the gendering of social and familial roles. Men would read more factual news and facts, whereas factual reports or news, and women would read more fiction than facts. Also the age of women, older women would read religious articles and headlines, and younger and middle-aged women would read all kinds of celebrity news. And these women also wrote their diaries, kept diaries, and read women's magazines. And the reading of the magazines, as I looked at it in my research, I interpreted it as empowerment. All the feminists have written, for the past 30 years, feminists have looked down upon these magazines as offering a kind of femininity which is traditional and which enforces the patriarchal structures. Yet these magazines have now there is a growing respect for these magazines, because these magazines, after 30 years of feminist writing, still remain popular, and they offer pleasure to women out of their domestic and mundane chores. So these are not easily put downable. Now these diaries consist of personal pages of personal feelings and intimate thoughts and self-reflection. These are emotive and subjective. This is subjective involvement with literacies, and they're very personal. This is the first excerpt. I'm more interested in women's magazines and in what they eat, drink, wear, and do. It's a young woman. I find men very boring. There is no charm in their lives. I don't like my brother's attitude. They want crisp, clean clothes to wear, ready-made. They do nothing positive in their day. Women and girls are far more interesting. We talk about topics and issues. Now, older women, these are excerpts from their focus groups and interviews, where women use these metaphors of silent birds, and it turned out to be the metaphor of speech and silence is ubiquitous in my data, and also you will find that when I read from the feminist poets work, they also, this is a recurrent image and metaphor of silence and speech. So these are older women who did not have any schooling at all. They're in their 60s at the time of the data collection. These are excerpts from their conversations. Since they were not able to write or read or write, our elders made us observe parda. Our elders didn't let us go out. We didn't know what it was like outside. We remained indoors, domesticated. I have only learned sewing now. Before I didn't know this. Have been restricted all our lives. Were not allowed to go out. Now we have no desire to. Are like caged birds. We remained indoors like silent birds. And another. I must have been 8 or 9 when I started observing parda. Parda was so strictly observed that even the air of the servants. This is a translation, so I put this in